Hey y'all, I have such a good long-term friend of mine that I am really pumped to be able to bring you today. We haven't had a whole lot of men on the show yet, and we are going deep on automation today. So I have brought with me the powerhouse for automation. So if I'm going to go, I'm going big, and we are going to go hefty. And so we are going with the king of automation, in my opinion, which is Austin Moorhead with Lava Automation. Austin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So flattering.
Well, I am super excited because I think you and I have known each other. I'm going to say what, since 2018,
Yeah,
2017?
2018, I think. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was a broker at the time.
Yeah. So you were in the insurance proper space on that sort of thing,
Yeah.
the sales and all of that kind of space. And we actually connected through another group that was really into like Facebook marketing and online lead generation. And
Yeah.
there was some technology involved with some of that. So super excited that I got
Frank's
to
group.
be able to
Yeah.
be a part of that group with you. But
Yeah.
as we're here on the podcast today, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into automation technology and all that, even with an insurance background?
Yeah. I started off at State Farm. We'll go over this quick. And it wasn't a 30-year career for me. So left there. And I realized that I wanted to be a broker because I wanted, market access. And I wanted to be able to use technology that the captive carriers don't allow you to use.
Yep.
And so then I, opened up a brokerage with a partner at the time, and it was kind of my job to figure out the technology. And in 2018, agencies Zoom really wasn't on the scene, not like it is
Right.
today. And Mine wasn't on the scene like it is today. A lot of people are using things like small business CRMs, like just generic CRMs that weren't
Yep.
specific to any industry. And so we picked one of
Zoho,
those.
some of those others
Yeah,
that are out there.
Entreport, Keep, Pipedrive. I mean, there's got to be 50 of these things. And so we picked up one of those and we built out like this insurance model. And I was talking to another agent in Denver, and he goes, "Hey, we use the same CRM. Do you mind building mine out?" And I probably should have said no, but as luck has it, I said okay. And then I was like working till midnight and figuring this thing out, and breaking stuff. And eventually we kind of put in 10,000 hours into Keep and got really good at it. And
Wow.
that client, Mark Rogers, I'm gonna throw his name out there. He went from doing like a million and a quarter new business to 7 million in new business within a few years, and he's done it ever
Oh my
since.
goodness.
And we're like, holy crap, we've got something here. Like we
Yeah.
figured out kind of like the mousetrap, so to speak. And I had the affair with automation, and I couldn't go back. So got rid of the equity in the other agency, and
Yeah.
um, a few months later, Mark said, "Hey, can you also get us some VAs to kind of help with some of the remarketing stuff?" Today, we have 200 employees in the Philippines.
That's crazy.
Um, yeah, it's been a wild, wild
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah. Yeah. So you officially focused in on automation, what, 2020? When did you officially make that change?
Yeah, so I opened up Lava September 1st of 19. So we just
Okay.
had our whatever 4-year anniversary a couple months ago. Thank you. Yeah. So
Yay.
on the automation side, we automate about a half a billion in premium goes through our stuff each year.
Wow.
Half a billion in premium.
That's crazy. So,
Yeah.
okay, so for those people who don't really know what lava automation is, because I'm just throwing it out there, we haven't really gone back into that. We talked a little bit about how you got into automation and helping agencies with their automation, but tell me what lava automation specifically does.
Yeah, thanks. We would help agencies get their CRM stood up. There's a lot of settings in there, and the things that we learned in my first year of building the CRM, there was a lot of mistakes that were made. Sometimes some of them very, catastrophic. You might send email blast to, 500 people that you didn't mean to do it to, or something like that. And then we didn't know what to say in the content, and we
Right.
didn't know how long to run the content for, and we didn't have all the solutions for remarketing, out the gate, and we couldn't figure out what we wanted to do with service in the system, and people weren't trained, I think, to use CRM very well, and so that we had some like hard adoption. But we went through all of that stuff, and now we've shown agencies, I think probably 86 different agencies we've helped set up, and we can get agencies up and running on a CRM in a few months.
Yeah.
So this and if you go back 4 or 5 years, it could take an agency 6 months to, kinda get acclimated or whatever, acclimatized to a CRM.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
Well,
it.
I was actually talking to somebody this morning, and we were talking about how I feel like I've come to this realization in my own mind that I think I'm a three-quarters away gal. That's who I am. I would get in there, I will get dirty with you, I will learn, I will push, but then about half to three-quarters of the way in, I get some shiny object and I just go a different direction, and then nothing ever gets truly completed. And I know that for my agency, we were on active campaign for a number of years, really enjoyed it, got it up and running. But like you said, there was like 10,000 hours. I mean, I didn't go 10,000 hours, but there was, say, I put in 100 hours of time that I just did not have to continue at that pace for being
Yeah.
able to continually build out the program, right? I know that you've done a lot with Keep. I know a lot of people have done a lot with Keep. Part of the Infusionsoft a suite of products, and that's a great product as well. And now I know a lot of people are doing Agency Zoom. A lot of people are doing Insured Mind. All of
Yeah.
these other ones are out there. But I know that, especially for an agency owner, half the battle for me is knowing where I want to go, what I want to be able to accomplish, and then all those twists and turns of being able to figure out where we're going and what we're doing. And like you mentioned, those really big mistakes and the fear that goes along with it. What y'all are doing is taking all that off of the agency owners hands, so that way we can go do what we do best, and y'all can really build out that agency of the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if you're gonna compete with our quality of build standard, that you'd have to put in the years that we have doing this.
Mhm.
This is all we do. And so,
Well, not
it's
just
like,
years
do
of
you wanna be an
experience,
insurance
years
agent or do
of
you wanna be a developer? If you wanna be a developer,
right.
come talk to me and I'll give you a job.
Because you're hiring, you're growing. I love it.
We're growing.
I love it. I love it. So how do you normally open up those conversations with agency owners or people in the industry? Because I think technology is really scary for a lot of people. It's really scary for our teams. Our teams are set in ways that they normally operate. How do you guys kind of open up that conversation about automation and what automation can do for an agency?
I think it kinda depends on what part of the industry you're in right now. So I think Vertafore users and Now Search users and, Hawksoft users, they have a deeper awareness, I think, of some of the tools and, stuff out there, and so the conversation just kinda starts a little bit deeper than, like,
Mhm.
some of the applied users that are just kinda waking up potentially to, the power of CRMs, and so it's like, well, a CRM is this to them, and to us, we already know that it's gonna do emails and texts. It's the conversation for us is like, when are they gonna go?
Yep.
Who's pushing the button, and then how do we keep ourselves accountable? Like, we're just at the next phase, I think, in some of the other communities. Um, yeah, and so I'm just talking to agency owners. I usually want to know like what their leads are. So like if we're going to build you a Ferrari, I want to know how much gas you're going to put in the tank
Yeah.
because we've got agencies that are doing 1 million a month in new business premium, and it's like I really just kind of being around other agencies that want to push
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, let's buy leads," and so I think I'm often talking about lead data to agency owners. I'd like to go through reports, and try and convince them to go buy internet leads. I'm the worst guy on the planet. I think they kinda some of them kinda look at me like, "Dude, you're the devil." "We do not wanna work internet leads." Yeah,
Right.
well, the data says you should.
Wow.
And there's just a lot of them out there that you could test. Not all of them are equal. Some of them are better than others,
Right.
but I
Right.
think I like to
We
kinda
all have the
push on them.
systems and the processes, kind of back to that other conversation of what we were doing back in 2018 is the conversation of if you work a lead right, based on where it comes from and what the client expects, you're going to have success. And it's also working it right goes so much further than that first 10, 20, 30-day conversation. It really goes into a longevity conversation because I think what people don't do right about leads, and that wasn't my original point of being able to have you on to talk about leads, but is that it has to be a long play. People think of leads as quick and down and dirty, you can sell and you're good in 30 days. And that's not the way that I think that it's supposed to be these days.
Well, you can still we definitely see that the average deal closes in under 30 days,
Okay.
but you're gonna spend time chasing people potentially for a year or 2. I mean, there's gonna be people that, for whatever reason, it didn't make sense this year, and we're gonna follow up next year, like, that is part of the game.
Yeah.
Uh, and sometimes, it's not always next year, it's, in commercial, just give me 4 months, you know?
Right.
We'll talk it, whatever it is. The next renewal, we can just catch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you manage all of that? Well, that's what a CRM does.
I
So
love it. I love it. So you kind of got in, you have that great insurance background. You started working with agencies to be able to help them to be able to automate. What do you find? We kind of talked about this a little bit as far as like the mentality of agencies. Do you find though that with today's hard market that agencies are starting to open up a little bit more than they have in the past to the idea of, or are they almost like clinching in and going, no, we can't handle anymore? Are they kind of going into that shock mode, or are they going into that expansion mode? Because I think I'm seeing both out there in the
yeah,
insurance
same.
space. Like as far as conversations go, a lot of people are shrinking and nutting down to do what they do, which is great. And other people are going, no, we have to be a more expansive approach. What are you seeing out there in the industry?
My A players, a year ago are still my A players today.
Yeah.
And some of these people were writing $1 million a month of new business premium. Like, they didn't slow down when the market went like this, and they're getting hard markets and they're losing carrier after carrier. In Florida, this has been the theme for the last 5 years.
Right.
The rest of the country's just waking up, and some of my Florida agencies, they haven't skipped a beat.
Right.
They're just still moving as much as they were. And then but generally speaking, everyone I talk to, they're losing 4 or 5 carriers and they're having to roll stuff. I think it's a good exercise, and I think it's really gonna promote the VA model, and selfishly, I'm, like, into that, like, "Yay," but the reality is, you're just having to spend way more time filtering and way more time kind of, like, hand-holding at renewal to make sure that we're not, getting our customers shopping. But at
Yep.
the same time, we don't wanna overload, I think, our assets there, because the growth potential is so high, because the whole country is stressed, that people are shopping. You got these 20-year shoppers that have never been shopping. I think the majority of people that we do meet are kind of, like, apprehensive because of the hard market, and they're not focusing on new business, and they'll tell you, "Yeah, we got leads coming through the door, and we can't keep up." It's like, well, you need to be recruiting then, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because never have opportunities come to your agency ever. It's a business that you can't serve. So, couple up to that pipeline and figure it out.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of leads out there right now to be got. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I do agree with that. And the more people are out there shopping, looking, the more opportunity we have to be able to expand our book, maybe diversify. I mean, I always tell people that I think for me, the agency of the future, which is what I'm trying to build on my end, is a hybrid model of an agency, a personally owned agency with a larger scale big box company, because people want the convenience, they want the communication, they want to know what's going on, they want the immediacy of service, they want to know that they know that they know, but then they also want to be able to pick up the phone a lot more and not have to go through a call center, and they want to be able to. So to me, it's more about bridging that gap of being that small town agency with a large technology stack and a large ability to be able to deliver the immediacy and the convenience that I think a lot of consumers are looking for, with the concept of markets and all that. So I think for me, that is part of this shift in the insurance space, is that we do have to level up in order to be able to stay relevant, because our markets are getting harder. We don't have this massive volume, right? Like some of these big box carriers do, who might be like Geico, they broker out the homeowner side of things, right? So they have lots of different carriers for that. Well, they may not have those carriers to some degree, cut commissions, or they may not have as many challenges because they have a different type of contract, right? So I think what I want to be able to see for agencies moving forward is a better hybrid approach for doing things in a more efficient manner, to where we can serve more people and be able to take that load and that stress off of our team. And to me, that's what automation does.
yes. Yeah, totally. So we clock our system, and for anybody, so whether you're a producer or a CSR, because we do have service and renewal automations, but anyone who does outreach with a CRM gets an additional 2.3 weeks worth of work done for them.
Really?
Yeah, and so, like, the amount of follow-up and the time that it would take you to keep up with what the CRM can do is like 2.3 weeks per month per person.
Wow.
Crazy. And
It's
that's
almost
not talking about the benefits of the reports that it builds based off of your behavior inside of the tool. All the time saving you get on that. It's like it's incomprehensible sometimes what these things can do for you. I see in the community right now, there's some Facebook groups, and one of the CRMs is been down a couple of days,
Uh-huh.
and people are complaining about the price, and I'm sitting here thinking they could 10x the price right now, and you would still pay it, or you'd go find another CRM. But the reality is they could all 10x their prices because we make way more money on these tools and help retain 10x better than we could without them.
Do you find that people are looking at the appropriate reports to know that? Because I think sometimes we just take things at face value, and especially in this, and I hate to say in this market because it's just period, right? We're all just busy. Like we're always busy, right? I mean, as soon as our doors open in the morning to the time that our doors close, and even after that, sometimes I think about all the things I didn't get done today, right? I mean, I think to me, taking that time to be able to work the reports has to be on my calendar. Like I have to be a
Yeah.
business owner that puts it on my calendar as a priority. Do you find that people do that to even know that what they're doing is truly effective?
Well, I know my A players live on their calendars,
Right.
like, how do you get it all in during that, throughout the day? It's like, if I'm not organized, like, with my time, then it's like things are just not gonna get done. So it depends. Some of my people, like, they live on their calendars. I do.
Yeah.
It's I just can't get away from it. There's just no way. Yeah. Uh,
Well, I think what I really want to encourage people to do is to be able to embrace the technological conversation, not just get such a uh, uh, what's really the minimalistic type idea. We need to think in a more expansive route because I think as we're seeing um, millennials are obviously buying houses. They're well into their second house by now, or whatever. They've got a couple kids, they've got a kid or two, whatever. Now as we see kind of the Gen X coming up, they want things to be automated to some degree. But at the same point, a lot of people are scared of automation on the business side of things. They're worried they're going to lose the personalization. How do you find that agencies are experiencing customer satisfaction that embrace technology? Like, are they getting the same quality and or better customer satisfaction and or sticky power for those clients by using automation?
I would say they're getting a superior, satisfaction rate because, there's a couple experiences we're talking about here. They become a customer when we sell them, and
Yep.
so, how do we introduce them to the agency is important, and how consistent we are with that introduction is important, right? And so if you take some of the automation out of the equation, you have to do human training. You get the whole team in a huddle, and you say, "Hey, guys, this is how we, introduce people to our customers. Make sure to say these talking points." And team member 1 runs back to their desk and does it great, and team number 2 does it okay, and team number 3 just completely forgets 4 of the 5 things, you
Right.
know? And you add an automation there, and it's like now we can standardize it, and we can really truly kind of indoctrinate our customers into, how it makes sense to work inside our organization as clients and, agents. And so I think the automation 10x enhances the experience. And then on renewal remarketing, there's only so much we can do. Hey, we can look. Hey, we can't look because it just doesn't make sense. Or hey, we looked and it doesn't make sense to go anywhere. Or you're being on renewed. Like there's just so many options there. And so because we're going to kind of say the same things, depending on which option and path you go down in renewals, you can still keep the variety of content and messaging, I think, unique to their individual situation. I mean, there's only so much of a relationship that we have with our customers. It's a policy that's between us,
Right.
right? And so it's expiring, it's renewing, it's moving. I mean, the conversation is kind of limited to some degree. The
Yeah.
policy is not, I don't think they don't, policies don't have babies, do they? They don't grow, do they?
No, no, but our people do, right? So our people, we want them
Yeah.
to say,
You
hey,
never know.
keep
I've been
all
in
my
insurance for
insurance.
10 years and it's like,
Yep. You never know.
I'll learn something new tomorrow.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So I love the fact that what you're saying though is that there's really a policy between us, and by using that policy and a technology to be able to deliver service and so forth to the clients, I think that what we're going to do is we're going to see that we build that know, like, and trust. We build that we do what we say we're going to do. We communicate that it's been done. I know that for us, sometimes our team does stuff and they forget to send a confirmation that something's been done. Then all of a sudden the client asks, "Oh, did this ever get done?" We're like, "Yeah, of course it got done." But sometimes we just didn't and do that. But that's something that whenever we close a item that we are working on, we can have that automatically go on out. And it builds that know, like, and trust. It builds the familiarity with our clients, keeps our name in front of them on a regular basis, and lets them know that we do what we say we're going to do. And I think for me, that is the foundation of why I need to make sure that we step up our automation, is because for me, I want to automate that. So I don't have to worry about, is my team remembering to send that email? Is my team taking care of this? I can easily go on in and we can track it.
I think one of the things to make it stick is like, you hear people talking about like starting new diets and things like that, or like 75 hard. And they're going to make a commitment to a certain period of time to do a certain activity is often kind of the back end of some of these, these diet startings. And so if you take kind of that same philosophy and you like apply it to your business and say, hey, for the next 2 months, we're going to have a 1 hour meeting every week on Tuesday. And you start to create that cadence of accountability with your team. You come together and you literally just kind of look at the tool and you train and you talk about the items in it and you clean it up. And so in the early days, this was actually also something I did for our agencies is I would be their administrator of the technology. And so we believe, and we've proven it, that it's very important to keep, to use one, but not only to do that, but to keep the data just very clean. Keep the cards organized, like take the time to do the little things in the software. I think those are the things that are going to pay the dividends, and if we're waiting a day after an interaction with the customer to update the deal, it's like that's a poor customer experience. And so
Yeah.
I think creating these little cadences of accountability to talk about, cleanliness of the app and to during those conversations sometimes you're going to talk about why we haven't moved a card or the reason we did move a card, and that opens up a conversation to train on like sales in general or service in general or retention in general inside the organization, but it's built around the cleaning of the pipelines. And so if you don't do like pipeline cleanup weekly, it's like
Yeah.
uh
Sticky.
yeah, yeah, gotta dust and sweep every once in a while.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. So it's not just about subscribing to somebody like Lava or some other system to be able to say, hey, make this happen. It's also being accountable to make sure that you maintain it down the road. Because I know clean data is something. So let me ask you a question. What is the and I think I know it's a very low number, but what is the percentage of agencies that either have clean data or think their data is clean?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't even know.
Because I'm going to
You
say
know
super
the
low. I don't think anybody really thinks that they have clean data or even expects their data to be clean at this point. Like
Yeah,
true, true,
yeah, I'm
true
sure there's,
clean.
there
Because it
like
takes
you
a
like
lot
so
of
like when
work.
we download like book of businesses to like load them into the CRM, for
Mm.
example, there's like 5 phone number fields and you'll get a lot of people use phone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it's like the numbers can be the same in all the fields. They could be different in all the fields on this
Yep.
account. And it's like that's where we see kind of like the messy data is sometimes in the AMS fields. But as far as like the CRM goes, it's pretty easy. They're usually flexible enough they allow you to like merge contacts and things of that nature. And they're really clear about having like, just 1 or 2 phone fields kind of as a standard, not 15. And I don't know. So the data is going to be close enough. But what we do see the agencies want to strive to do is to keep their opportunities because that is the relationship, right? The policy is the opportunity. Keeping those organized from where they're at in the customer journey keeps the stress off their back the most. I mean, if you get a phone number wrong, you can adjust it. But
Right.
you
Right.
get start getting that, the automated communication wrong, you're gonna feel it. And I think agencies, I think that's sometimes the apprehension that they have is to getting started with automation is, "Oh, man, I don't wanna get a negative complaint." And
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, you're gonna get a bunch. Awesome. You should look forward to it. You're gonna grow through that. And, you'll find that it is a fraction of the positive responses that you get from it. And so we see that
Mm,
that's usually like a big apprehension, like, "Oh, man, what if the automation did get someone to say something bad?" Awesome. It happens all the time. Guess what? No big deal. You're gonna have so much more people say how awesome it is.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You know,
it's
it's
a
just like,
concept that some people struggle with.
somebody I read I read a book one time and it said, what if you go on out and you put a product out on Amazon, right? And you say you write a book, right? You put it out on Amazon and you get 3 people who complain about the book, who don't like the book, right? You're going to focus on those 3 people way
Yeah,
more than the
yeah,
400 people that gave it a 5-star review and said it was a book that changed their life. We don't read those positives sometimes. We only read those 3 negative that came on in and said, oh, this is the most stupid book I ever read, right? So I think even as agency owners, we need to make sure that we focus in on the scope, right? Let's read those positives and let's take those into consideration, their negatives. And sometimes we need to take into consideration those negatives. Somebody was just having a bad day and they just got cranky
yeah.
somewhere. Sometimes they're not even customers. Sometimes we can track them down and they weren't even people that were even our pipeline, that might
And that's the weirdest. That
weird.
is the weirdest. But you see that stuff sometimes. Huh? Like,
You
what?
do, you do. And I think we have to take it all kind of with a grain of salt. And I think whenever we adopt something new like automation or make changes to our automation, we need to understand that some of these things are just going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's always a good one when some of those weird ones come through. It's like,
Yeah.
what? How can we leave us no feedback? Yeah, yeah. So the same guy, Mark, that we went from like 1 to 7 on, when and we kind of got started in the process, he had like 200 reviews. And then I think like today's like over 1,700. So people love you.
Wow.
Like, if you really take care of them, if you do when you have the interaction, if you're demonstrating your license, they're going to love you, right? Like if you're using the tools that you have at your disposal,
Yeah.
which is your education, like customers are going to be thrilled to work with you.
So
So you need just to automate the parts that don't require that level of like sophistication.
do you find team members are pretty open to automation? Like, do you find that they're more open to automation, or do you feel like that the leadership has to drag them into it?
Producers are way more open to it than CSRs. CSRs love to suspense inside of the AMS, and it usually takes a long time to get CSRs pumped about the automation. And I've seen that probably in 50 out of the 86 agencies that we've set up.
Okay.
And so, but once you can, and sometimes it takes, 3 months, sometimes it takes a year. But when it clicks for them, like that, you can't turn them off, and they usually become like the creators of like new ideas and things to automate once they fall in love with it. And where producers, once they get theirs set, like don't talk to them.
They're done.
But
They're,
they're
they're,
easy. You can
they're
turn
off
theirs
selling.
on like in a day, yeah, and they're just like, leave me alone. It works good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But CSRs, once they fall in love with it, it's like, oh man, can we do notice of cancellations? Can we do underwriter stuff? And it's like, yeah, you can do all of these cool things on it. Can it do your renewals? Absolutely. Commercial versus personal. It's like it saves you a ton of time
Yeah.
in service.
I love it.
But you have this idea of wanting to maintain your AMS, which is always kind of the burden throughout it. And so some of the CRMs have, two-way integration to be able to leave notes and create policies and things like that. It's really kind of cleaned it up, the experience. But there's still the burden to maintain two systems independently a little bit. And
Right.
so even our OG agencies that were built out on Keep that can't leave because their build is so kind of like personalized, they have this burden of permanently maintaining the AMS separate from the CRM, but they get so much benefit out of the CRM that they would never not do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, people often have to wrap their head around what that's pretty powerful. You think about it. Like, I would go so far to do double data entry in two systems because the benefit is there versus not having one of them because it won't talk to the main system and we'd have to do double data. Like we don't want to do that double data entry.
Right.
So the benefit far outweighs the consequence. And that's the other thing, when you're doing with automation, sometimes the benefit is 99 to 1, and sometimes it's 60 to 1, but still we try and solve for the majority, I think, is the default. Like, how do we knock the biggest chunk of tasks off of your plate at any given
Yeah.
time? Is
Yeah.
the kind of philosophy that we try to teach people to look at, like when they're working on that stuff. Anyways, we geeked out hard today. Got into the weeds on some automation.
I love it. I love it.
uh
So, but I do want to also ask you real quick, what do you see as the future? Because I think we have to look forward. I don't think it's just what everybody else is doing or what the cool kids are doing. What do you
yeah.
what do you think we're going to be embracing, and just real fast, just what do you think we're going to be embracing in the future for automation? Like, what is kind of the next steps?
Well, so I've always been saying, we did just not repeated much really out there. I don't think that we should be embracing a whole lot. I think we need to get the first kind of like big chunk of this bolted down and
Okay.
then stop looking at new tech for 6 months. If you just made like a technology like leap in your agency, and you fast forwarded, a year because you came through an agency like ours, or you just spent a lot of time building it, whatever the case may be, like stay there.
Let it settle.
You
Yeah.
just made this massive improvement. By the time there's some like other major massive improvement out there, It's going to take years to get vetted out. But meanwhile, you just took this big like technology leap, like stay there, block and tackle, find a way to maximize this new like foundation of your organization. And then, let someone else go be the pioneer on that new tech. And then, when it comes out, it will hit like a wave. It always does. Technology is not something that gets like away in some corner that people don't share. It's like people can't wait to share their
Yeah.
technology when it comes out because they want to sell it, right?
Yep.
And so let someone else pioneer. Anyways, we see a lot of stuff with like Chat GPT is so buzzy. I cannot find a way to get it into my business in a day-to-day basis. I
Mm.
can't. I don't think
Yeah.
people are saying this honestly. But I do think it's coming. We've looked
Not
at it
cool to
and then
say that
there's like some potential it has the potential to do some really sophisticated stuff if you can find the right programmers, I think,
right now.
that can kinda connect the parts of, like, it looking at your data, you giving it a query where you tell it to, update your, content in theory, and then go put it back into the campaigns and improve your content in real time based off of conversions,
Ooh, that would be super cool.
right? And it's just working on the content based off conversions, but, like, to get all those pieces connected to make it do these things seems like sure, that sounds awesome, but who's gonna spend the money on that, you know?
True. True.
That's mine in
That'd be
case
cool.
anybody wants
That'd be cool
to,
down the road. Somebody would.
trademark that right now.
Right? I'll say you need to start fill out your
Yeah.
paperwork with the government on that one real quick.
Yeah, I've seen some other, like, little, use cases, for it, like, if you're struggling to write content and you're comfortable with the prompts that you can put into ChatGPT, like, it'll pound out emails in, like, 5 seconds, but,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I just haven't seen much for it.
I
So I
love it.
just think everybody right now, like, in the country, like, if you have a CRM. And, maybe you've got some internal forms or something like that, depending on if you're on Applied or Vertafore. I do love the internal forms for India with Applied, so they sync the AMS. But if you're on, Vertafore or like Hawksoft or something like that, and you're using something like Cognito or Jot, like use these forms, connect them into your CRM, store that data. Don't put things on pen and paper.
Right.
Um,
Right. And
and
streamline your
and that
system.
is going to get you through the next 5 years of this,
Love
insurance
it.
industry. Yeah.
Love it. Well, Austin, I know you have a large team. You work with VAs, you help people out with their systems or automations, you help them out with all of these different pieces, and you have a team to do that. If people want to work with Lava, how can they go ahead and do that?
Yeah, just come to our website, www.lavainnovation.com, and fill out one of our Book Now forms and jump on a call with someone from our office and kind of explore what we can do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell everybody we are in the process of doing lava. We actually go live next week Friday, a week from today. So I'm super excited about that. We played around with the agency Zoom thing on our own kind of thing for a couple of months. So my team knows about it. Like they understand kind of the concepts. It's not going to be cold turkey for us, but at the same point, I'm super excited and everything I've loved seeing from y'all's team. Just to let you know, has been wonderful. So
Thank you.
I have really
I'll tell
enjoyed
them you said
working
so.
with my guy who helps me on out, and he's very good about asking great questions. He's good about and making great suggestions, and I've been very very happy with Lava. So that's why I was like, I want to put you on the podcast so that people can hear about automation done.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So
So just make sure to, ask them for anything. I always tell people that, like, bother us before, you don't. So
yeah.
just get the service you want, and he'll
Those
give
are
it to you.
your probably your people on the way to being your A clients, right? Or people that ask questions, people that want more, people that are get really involved in it. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Austin,
Thanks for having me
you
on.
are always one of my favorite people. If you are in Dallas, let me know anytime and I'll take you out for dinner. I know you're always busy whenever you go places, but always let me know. I'm always around.
Thanks, Teresa.
All right. Everybody, this has been another awesome, amazing episode of the Power of Women in Insurance podcast. Today we have Austin Moorhead with Lava. If you are Lava Automation, if you are looking specifically for automation in your agency, if you want to talk about it, they have a lot of great done for you type pipelines and concepts. They can walk you through what it is you're thinking of and how you can get the most out of your automation as well. So make sure you reach out to Lava Automation and check out another amazing episode of the Power of Women in Insurance podcast, where we bring actionable traits, actionable activities to you to be able to implement inside your agency at any time. Everybody, I'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.